welcome to my Menhera panel. My name's Puvi. I run the brand Puvithel, named after myself because I'm very creative. And unfortunately, I just moved last week and I packed my camera somewhere and I can't find it. So you're just going to have to listen to my beautiful, beautiful voice without any lovely accompanying pictures. All right, but without any further ado, I'm going to get right into it because I keep adding to this panel and I have a little less time than I normally do. All right, so to start, I'm going to start by breaking down your misconceptions about Menhera. And once I tell you what Menhera isn't, we're going to build it back up with what Menhera is. And by the way, in the comments, let me know if my audio is okay. This is my first time streaming since moving, so I'm not 100% sure I got the setup all back correctly. All right, so first common misconception is I hear a lot of people say, oh, isn't it supposed to be Menhera K? It's not Menhera K. K in Japanese means like stereotypes of or things that typify the word before it. It doesn't actually mean style or fashion. And so when people tag things as Menhera K, that's actually not correct. And Menhera K is often used as an insult, often to like indicate like a crazy girlfriend kind of a style. It's usually meant to belittle women and women emotions, things like that. So don't use that. I also often hear people say they don't like Menhera because it's gory. True Menhera actually doesn't feature gore typically, and if it does feature gore, it's like there's a reason for it being there, and it's never gory to be gory. If you are finding something that is gory to be gory, or is cute and gory, that's actually a style called gura kawaii, which is a different style. I also hear people ask, is Menhera only for the mentally or chronically ill? And the hilarious part about this is like 99% of people who have asked me this aren't neurotypical or do have chronic health issues and wonder if they're like sick enough for Menhera, which I find ironic. But you don't. You can be perfectly healthy. You can have a little bit of issues, any range, because even if you are 100% healthy, able-bodied, neurotypical, you are still raising awareness and opening discussion of the Menhera issues that you are wearing. So don't feel like you can't wear Menhera, like you have to be like sick enough to wear Menhera. Another common misconception is like Menhera is that drippy glitter makeup style, right? So that is actually a gura kawaii makeup style that was popularized by a particular doll artist. And unfortunately, due to how kind of having to how you have to mistag things in social media to get them to move anywhere, people have unfortunately put that as something they think is Menhera. But that's not Menhera at all. By definition, Menhera is supposed to be more casual and have lighter makeup, actually. So more misconceptions. A lot of people have been like, wow, Menhera is so new. It must be like a trend fashion. No, it's actually been around for a long, long time, since the early 2000s. It was born in Japan's Tuchan Menheru board, which used to be the BPD board. The Japanese people there, were like, well, we aren't all BPD. That's not a generic enough term to describe everybody. So they came up with Menheru from mental healther, from the English mental healther, and that became Menhera for things associated with it. Another common misconception is like, is this a costume? Are you using it as a costume? So no, it is never a costume. It is just you are yourself and you are wearing clothing that has these Menhera themes on it. And by definition, it should also be fairly casual. And the last misconception I hear often is, I like Menhera, but it's out of my budget. And this I find hilarious because Menhera is a very DIY style. And because it's so casual, all you need is a top with vent art on it, which means you can go pick up a shirt from Walmart and you can get like a paint marker and scribble some vent text on your shirt, and you have created a Menhera shirt. And you can wear that with blue jeans and you have a Menhera outfit. So you really can just make one DIY piece and make a Menhera outfit. You don't have to go and buy the most expensive thing at Listen Flavor. It's extremely accessible, and that's by design. Menhera is very focused on accessibility, as you will see more of in a moment. So, all right, we've taken away what Menhera isn't. So now what is Menhera actually? So this is a very lovely picture that Hoshi Candy did for K Club, featuring a coordinate, a Menhera coordinate, a kind of standard coordinate. Menhera is typically loose fitting to maximize accessibility. So people with various chronic pain issues can wear the clothing easily. It's often in pastels, particularly in the West, but it can be done in most color palettes. I need to change that a little bit. But it features mental and chronic illness motifs. There's no particular drawing style. You can draw in a more American style. You can draw in a chibi style. You can draw in like a very vent art, hastily sketched out style. There's no specific style to Menhera. Often, particularly in the West, you'll see pills and medication as part of themes, since those are issues that a lot of mental healthers in the US are focused on. But you can have any sort of mental health or chronic health issue. You see a lot of stuff focused on school stress in Japan. You can even see LGBT themes because of the mistreatment of LGBT people in Japan. Comfy shoes. So not necessarily like the comfiest shoes. You can get away with a little bit of a platform, or like a nicer shoe, like you can see here in this drawing. But the idea is that it's something you can walk around in. Heels are typically a no-no. And then thigh highs, leggings, and tights, often with Menhera motifs. So thigh highs in particular, because they're considered an item that's easy to wear and very accessible. And that's why thigh highs became popular in the style. And with your hair, and your accessories, you're gonna keep it simple, usually just one or two accessories that match the theme of your outfit. You can do a little bit more, but you want to avoid going into decora territory by having too much. And same with the hair. Natural hair is encouraged, and styling your natural hair is encouraged, but you can wear simpler styled wigs. You're not going to want to come out with your hime level wigs, though. You want to keep it fairly simple. And it's more important, less accessories, but accessories that match the theme are better. Every item you pick should be very deliberate to matching your theme. So here I've got an example of a friend of mine who is like consistently always doing extremely good Menhera outfits. This is Cupcake Vice. You can follow her over on Instagram. She is a commuter, so her outfits often are multi-use, are able to style from like, oh, I'm hot sitting on the train. Let me be able to take off my jacket and get comfier. Let me have a face mask so I can avoid having to deal with the germs. So this is actually a few years ago, this picture. So she was a face mask trender a long time before before it became something we all had to do. But yeah, it's all very practical, but still very cute, very deliberate in the motifs that she's putting together. Right. A lot of people sometimes will use the term yami kawaii. Yami kawaii and Menhera are two slightly different styles, though there is often overlap between the two. Whereas Menhera is vent art, any style featuring the vent art. Yami kawaii is using cute and kawaii motifs to address dark topics. So the art style is more limited than Menhera in that it should be a cute art style. Doesn't have to be Japanese art style particularly, but something cute, and you're using it to address dark topics. It doesn't necessarily have to be like Menhera, where it's about a mental health or a chronic health topic. It could just be to show the juxtaposition of a cute art style and a dark topic. And Yami Kawaii describes like this aesthetic and this style, whereas Menhera, first and foremost, describes the Menhera activism and mental health community. The fashion, aesthetic, and style comes secondary. This is a big part of why it's very important to be respectful about Menhera and respectful in how you portray and talk about Menhera, because it's not just a fashion. It is a whole community of mental healthers in Japan and the activism that they do. So that's a key part that sometimes in the West we forget about. So on that note, Menhera is more restrictive because it is about accessibility first, but that doesn't mean you can't use those same motifs and do something Menhera inspired. So here I've got an example of two people wearing very similar items, almost exactly the same items, but the way they've styled them is entirely different. So here on the left, Milky Suzu has styled this in a Menhera style where it's loose fitting, comfortable, simple styling on the hair, and like meant for like walking around and more accessible. Whereas Toshi over here, we have styled her for a photo shoot. So this is not something she's wearing for a long amount of time. She's trying to overemphasize the healthier themes and to just do a really artsy photo shoot. So this is something that's more Menhera inspired. And Menhera Fashion versus the art. So while the fashion, again, is very limiting, it needs to be comfy, oversized, cute, limited accessories, accessible, you can do whatever you want with the Menhera art. You're not limited to a style or anything of that sort. So here I've got just like my style of very American styled art. And you can see that she's not even wearing any clothes. So there's no clothing style, you could say. But that's all good. It's all vent art over here. A question I get asked about a lot is how do you manage talking about serious issues like chronic health and mental health with avoiding people's triggers and being aware that some of that can be triggering to other people. This is a very like a balancing line you have to walk because Menhera can be triggering, but part of the point is Menhera is to go to society and to quote unquote neurotypicals and say, everyone is ignoring these serious issues and I need to be a little bit harsh about it and blunt about it for you to pay attention. This is a big part of the fashion as activism in Japan because Japan is a lot farther behind than us when it comes to acknowledging mental health and chronic health issues and discrimination against people with those issues. So wearing a shirt that depicts something like this is meant to be a bit of a harsh, in Japan particularly, a bit of a harsh reality check saying, hey, we need to stop ignoring these issues. We need to acknowledge that these issues happen and we need to be more kind to people who struggle with these issues. In the States, we are a little bit better. So sometimes more people will use it as more of a self-expression than as trying to kind of advertise the activism of the topics. But there's no hard set rule that Menhera will never be triggering. Yes, it can be triggering, and you're gonna just have to play by ear with the people around you to see what people are okay with and how to walk that line. In general, if you're in doubt and you're posting it on your social media somewhere, you can add a content warning and just leave it at that. And Menhera is not for everyone. It's not something like it never is going to be 100% not triggering because that takes away from the whole point of it. And if it's not for you, that's okay. You can self-express any way you want. You don't have to express through Menhera. And another keynote I wanted to point out is self-harm scars, both in art and on people, are always okay. These are not considered triggers. This is one of those things that society needs to be better about and not discriminate people with self-harm scars. So, and medical motifs do not automatically equal Menhera. Here we've got Lou with some fantastic outfits that he's made, but these are Iroquois and Gurokoi outfits, and he self-describes them as such. So they feature medical motifs, but they're from different styles, but still very cool stuff. And yes, no such thing as Menhera makeup. I briefly touched on that before. Here it's creepy in some very fun Gurokoi makeup. And here is me and Mensera-chan in some very light makeup with our Menhera outfits. And you can also just get away with no makeup. It's nice in that sense. And the idea of that is the makeup styling should be accessible to people. So not everyone can wear makeup due to skin sensitivities. Not everyone can put makeup on well due to various chronic health issues. So we want to keep the makeup styles light so that everybody can have a chance to dress in Menhera. Now that said, a very common makeup style that you will see with Menhera a lot is Byojaku makeup. It is a fairly simple style with a bit of a red underline to kind of make it look like you were crying or you were feeling a little sick. Kind of puts that out in your eyes. And I've included FY Menhera's YouTube playlist here, and this is a whole bunch of tutorials for it. I did not find a YouTube video that was for dark skin in particular, but FY Menhera has a tutorial on how you modify these other tutorials for darker skin. It just the key takeaway was you change up the colors very slightly and you use slightly more pigmented colors, but the way of application is the same. And whenever I tell people, oh, you can't wear a lot of makeup in Menhera, it needs to be light makeup or no makeup, I get a lot of pushback from people, and particularly because in the States, we have a lot of people who self-express through more complicated makeup styles. And those people often do have chronic health issues. But the problem is it's not, the idea is every part of Menhera needs to be accessible to everyone with every issue. So if complicated makeup isn't accessible to everyone, then it's not something you can do in Menhera. Same thing with like very tight-fitting clothing, with heels. Different people struggle with different things, but the default needs to be accessible so that those people can participate and be part of the main group, so that they're not othered. I've got a picture of myself here because my personal story with this is I developed really serious chronic pain issues in the last few years. And I struggled a lot with not being able to wear the clothing I had in my closet. And that made me feel really upset. But because all of the Menhera stuff was designed with accessibility in mind to start with, I could still wear most of my Menhera clothing. I didn't have to go buy a special wardrobe for that. So I still had something in my wardrobe that I could wear. And as a side note, I did get surgery last year, and things are a lot better now. But for a hot minute there, it was like, well, I can't wear any pants. I can't wear anything with elastic. I can wear my Menhera shirts, and I guess that's it. But because Menhera was accessible, that ended up being a surprise boon to me. And again, a lot of people do self-express with makeup, and that's great. That's fantastic. You should do that. But there are other styles for you. Living doll in particular is big in the States. Here's Toshi, who's a big proponent of the living doll style, which is about turning your skin, your face into a canvas to self-express. And I included some other styles here as well. And you can go to my blog if you want a little bit more information on each of those styles. But yeah, you can self-express with makeup. Menhera is not the only style you can self-express in. The idea should always be to figure out how you want to self-express and what makes you feel good, what helps you express. And then you go and later you find the tags and the labels and the styles that match up most with what you are trying to do. But you shouldn't ever worry about trying to strictly fit into a particular style. It should be about your self-expression first, and then later coming back and seeing which styles you fit into. All right, so that's Menhera. I'm going to briefly talk a little about the Menhera community. So firstly, here's menhera.jp. As you'll notice, this might not look like what you're normally used to seeing with Menhera, but this is the capital THE Menhera site. This is the Menhera Central of Japan, where it is mostly focused on the mental health or community, focused with chronic health and mental health issues, focused with the stigmatization of those issues. They'll organize to do activism sometimes. A couple years ago, they organized together to get fake health sites that listed LGBT as mental illness. They were getting those sites taken down. They have a forum. You can talk there. There'll be lots of little articles. Some of them are slice of life articles on a particular Menhera person dealing with a particular struggle in their life, and I always find those very interesting. So this is what Menhera really is all the way down at its core is this site here. So this is the Menhera exhibit. This is a particular Menhera art gallery event that happens that is hosted by artist AO Uni. I'm probably saying that AOE Uni. Probably saying that wrong, but here is her Twitter. You can go follow her. She started hosting and putting together this art gallery with other artists who do Menhera art. This is actually one of the first places that Izaki Bizoko started getting some attention because his art was featured in a couple of these events. And this artist has always been a Menhera activist just by breaking societal norms because she's open about her health struggles, even like tweeting what's happening while she's in the hospital, which is very rare. Often, if you, as a Japanese person, talk publicly about your struggles with mental health or chronic health issues, you kind of get blacklisted from working in a lot of circumstances, and it's really frowned upon. So this is it. Just talking about your struggles is a big form of activism there. This particular exhibit is the oldest Menhera exhibit and focuses highly on vent art of all kinds and sees thousands of visitors. But there are other art exhibits that pop up as well. So here's FY Menhera. This is your number one source of what's happening in the Menhera world in English. This is run by multiple people who speak Japanese very fluently, who've been interested in Menhera for a very long time, some of them from very close to the beginning in the early 2000s. And or I guess it was like late 2000s, 2008, I think, is when Menhera got a little more solidified. But aside from that, this is your number one source for everything in English Menhera. Go here. They post article translations of Menhera-related Japanese articles. They post YouTubes where they will translate the interviews with Menhera idol groups or with Menhera artists or anything related. They reblog Menhera art in coordinate and shops, which can be very useful because Menhera shops, because they're run by Menhera people, can often show up very briefly or only release like once a year and be difficult to buy from. So it's good to have somebody keeping track of that. So if you want to learn more about Menhera, go here, follow them, read everything they do. This is also one of my primary sources for my Menhera information is going to FY Menhera and then asking them questions when I need help, which I did today. So some more Western online communities. I run 2 Facebook groups here. I will eventually, I need to update these. I renamed it. It's Menhera Chat Box and Menhera News, Menhera Updates are the groups now. I forgot to fix that. But yeah, you can come join us on Facebook. We're a pretty quiet group, but very wholesome group. It's really nice to, it's not super active, but when it is active, it's always like everybody is getting along and being very supportive of one another, which is nice. There's obviously the Menhera.jp community. You can, if you want to interact with the Japanese community, the easiest way to do so is on Twitter. And there's also a Menhera Discord that's run by FY Menhera, which you can find on the FY Menhera page. And there was a small 4chan community, but I haven't been keeping up with it, so I'm not sure if they still are there or if they moved to the Discord and Facebook groups instead. All right, so after community, there's icons and brands. And as a note, again, many Menhera icons and brands kind of come and go very quickly or can be hard to find. So this means that sometimes the Japanese brands are a little less known here. So FI Menhera will usually do a very good job of keeping up to date with them. So this is focused a little bit, this is a little bit from a lens of like what I, as an English speaking Westerner, can find out and can see what has made it over to me. And there may be many, many more small brands than what I'm listing that are also very important to the community. So Menhera and music. So this is one topic where I don't know super much about, so I'm gonna just give you some ways to Oh, I had a YouTube link. What happened to my YouTube link? Well, I have some ways for you to learn more. Just like how many Japanese fashion styles have a large basis in music, like Visual Kei did, Menhera also has a big basis in music. This Visual Kei band, Arshite, does Menhera Gathering, which is a music festival focused on Menhera music artists and Menhera music. So they have a whole music festival just for Menhera, which is fantastic. Here are some more well-known Menhera or Yami Kawaii brands. So these are bands. So these are bands and musicians who have a big focus on Menhera, Yami Kawaii, either both styling and lyrically. So you can check them out. There's a huge Vocaloid community of Menhera and Yami Kawaii musicians in the Japan and in the West that you can find a lot of. And there are, of course, Menhera idol groups. And I had a YouTube link, but if you go to FY Menhera's page, and they have a music YouTube link with a giant playlist of Menhera, Japanese Menhera music. You should check it out if you're interested in learning more about Menhera music. And then on to the brands. Kwa Oyasumi is considered the grandmother of Menhera because she was the one who popularized the Menhera styling of the oversized top / dress with the main artwork, and then the like thigh-high, subtle or minimal short skirts bottom, and the flat shoes. So that kind of quote-unquote silhouette was popularized by Kwa, and we really that all of that aesthetic kind of came from her. Although, again, Menhera has no single sole creator. Menhera evolved out of the community, putting vent art in shirts and wanting to share vent art with one another. But if there was someone who was very influential, it would be this person right here. And this is some of her art. I love her art. It's great. She does lots of great stuff like this. You should follow her and look at all of her cool stuff. The most well-known icon in the West, of course, is Menhera-chan. Menhera-chan is a satire about magical girls with wrist-cut transformations in an exaggerated setting. The idea was originally it was a very big event art piece where Izaki Bizoko was frustrated with the kawaii culture, focusing that, oh, if you're cute and kawaii, then you must not have any problems in your life. You must have a perfect life. You can't possibly have any health issues. And if you're a cute person, then you won't say anything about your health issues because then that makes you not cute. So Izaki Bizoko was like, I'm going to take your cuteness, your magical girl, and I'm going to put all of these topics about mental health and chronic health and satirize them and put them here in this with your magical girl so that you can no longer use that cuteness to hide. So it definitely started out as a very true event art piece. And Izaki Bizoko is still pretty popular. I consider him, he's a mixed opinion guy. He's done a lot of harm for the Menhera community, but he's also done some good in that he's made Menhera more accessible to people by collaborating with brands like Listen Flavor and AC/DC Rag, and bringing awareness of Menhera, both the fashion and the community, to the West. That all said, he often spreads harmful misinformation. Like he tried to say that Menhera was a bad word in Japan and other sorts of things. He's issued, or people working for him have issued, he trademarked Yami Kawaii, which while he did popularize a particular spelling of Yami Kawaii, he doesn't own the style Yami Kawaii. It would be like trademarking goth and then going after people who use the word goth. But that is what he's done, and he's reacted very immaturely when criticized about these issues, as you can see right here with this art he did, where he's literally running over all of his haters in a tank. Very, very mature. So if I do think that like he is really a Menhera. He is a gay man living in Japan. That he is out. That is not easy. He is a bit younger than us, younger than me, so it's not like he's really figured out his life completely yet. So just because he is spreading misinformation. It doesn't mean you should go bully him or anything like that, and it doesn't mean that you shouldn't, like, if you want to support his work, you can. It's not saying he's not done anything so bad that everybody should boycott him, but just please don't listen to him when he says anything about Menhera. And it's particularly odd that he's chosen to try and, like, done this harmful misinformation with Menhera, because part of his success has been from participating in Menhera community events. But what can you say? Yeah, support his work if you want. Follow him if you want. Don't listen to anything he says about Menhera. This is the next most popular Menhera-chan. There are a million Menhera-chans because Menhera-chan is like saying goth girl. It is fairly generic. Nobody, like, while Izaki Bizoko's is the most popular, it is not, nobody is copying him by using Menhera-chan. This is what I would say is the second most popular Menhera-chan. She is extremely popular in China in particular. She started off as a slice of life Menhera-chan and became was these little mini comics to promote line emotes and stickers about what it's like of a little brother living with a Menhera older sister. And these little slice of life comics were quite good. But unfortunately, the creator started a manga, and the manga has become a little less about the slice of life Menhera and a relatable character struggling with mental illness, and a little bit more like of a crazy girlfriend, like yandere kind of style, which is a little sad. But what can you do? This is the artist of brown-haired Menhera-chan. If you want to see her work, you can follow her on Twitter. I really love this illustration. She used to have this up on her website. I think she has a different illustration up now, but this art here is like, yes, I feel this. I too have been laying on the floor, curled up and being sad, And for funsies, this is the oldest Menhera-chan that we've been able to find. Dates back to 2012. There is an English fan translation available online, and it's great, and you should all read it. You can buy this manga on Amazon.co.jp, or you did at whatever point I looked it up and put it in this panel. But unfortunately, the author Kotoha Toko has died in 2018, and it was very sad when I found that out. I found that out, I think, a little bit later, sometime last year. I was like, oh no! Like, I found the English translation, and I read through it, and I was like, oh, this is great. And then I find out immediately after that the artist has died, and I was like, oh. But these are some of the comics. We've got Menhera-chan here, and you can see that she's interacting with this guy who's trying to convince her to kind of go outside, and she comes up with these like darker and darker reasons for why she can't go outside. And then we have Yojaku-chan. So Menhera-chan is like the mentally ill character who struggles with her mental health. And Byojaku-chan is the character who's always sick and is always missing school because she's sick or has chronic health issues. And so you can see like this is a comic about the amount of medication she takes on a daily basis. So I really like this comic because it presents both of these types of Menhera in a very reasonable way. So go give that a read if you're interested. So here we're switching from artists a little bit more into the fashion. This is Nemotai. They are a Menhera brand that's been around for a long time. They often use my favorite color palette of the black, white with a little splash of red. I love that so much. And they often feature suicide and depression themes. They were particularly accessible to the West because they sold out of Village Vanguard. And they've also collabed with Menhera-chan. So this is one of the OGs. Love this art style so much because I'm old school like that. This is my personal favorite Menhera artist. Her work is a little bit different than what you would consider standard Menhera. It's a lot more on the Menhera inspired, but all of her work features a lot of bent art, a lot of this like bent text in both English and Japanese, and these like clothing that looks like it's just like been tossed together somehow. Like I love it so much. Yeah, my favorite. Yes, everybody follow her too. In the West, the most popular Menhera characters are Parfum and Lavender. They are twins who work at a medically themed maid cafe, and they volunteer at a hospital. They're Cherry Cheesy, the artist, did a lot of art on them in little mini comics, a little bit like little Q&A, question answer sort of things. Very cute, very lovely. I would consider these two to be the next most popular Menhera characters after Menhera Chan in the West, for certain. They are everywhere. Super cute and they're super well done. Again, this artist was previously the most prominent Western Menhera designer, but they got overwhelmed with trying to manage running a full fashion shop as one person, where they're producing all of the art and managing the production and like having to manage hundreds and thousands of orders. And they decided to quit doing fashion for now. But I think still to this day, if you see somebody in Menhera and they've got on thigh highs, 90% chance that they have on cherry cheesy thigh highs. They were such a big staple of every Western Menhera coordinate you'll see everywhere, because she really produced such a large volume of really fantastic work with a lot of different motifs and styles. And if you have some cherry cheesy clothing, hold on to it because it's valuable and hard to find. But oh, did I not put in Cherry Crush? There it is. That's her new username. She does now, so she went through a couple of different cycles with her work, and right now she's doing kind of like aesthetic and etchy stuff, and it's really lovely. You should definitely give her a follow and check out her new work and support her and everything she does. All of her work is great. So this icon is kind of more of an inside joke within the Western Menhera community. Menhama. This was a meme due to community members often owning hamsters and having interest in hamsters. And there was for a while a Menhama emoji set that was used in the Discord. I don't know if it's still there. I haven't checked in a while. This is probably my favorite my favorite Menhera character. I love it. And occasionally the artist would do like a Menhama voice. That's the cutest, but unfortunately, the artist wasn't. The artist liked Menhama, but was a little sad that Menhama became his most recognizable art, and has kind of shifted gears to focus on artwork that's more in line with his aesthetic. So you won't see Menhama works really being produced, especially not this style. He's updated his style too. And if you have a Menhama shirt that you don't want, you should sell it to me because I want it, because mine is getting worn. So another thing to hold on to or sell to me if you happen to have something of this character. And this is the artist, Hoshi Candy / Hoshi Dreams. He currently is a Yumi Kawaii designer and VTuber. He focuses on a healing and family-friendly atmosphere and kind of a safe space, a comforting space in his VTube streams and in his Discord. So if you're looking for more VTubers to follow who create a nice, friendly atmosphere, you should definitely give him a look. And he is into J fashion himself. So sometimes J fashion topics come up in his stream. His VTube avatar is obviously very J fashion inspired, and you can see his characters are so freaking cute, though he has very carefully left Menhama out of this one. But all of his new characters are cute too, and he'll talk about Menhera themes like chronic health and mental health struggles and issues and how to deal with them, and kind of his own personal struggles and just in general some struggles. And his moderators do a really good job of keeping the community really comfy. So another shout out for him. And I skipped this too. So he's also done a lot of post clarifications and think pieces on Menhera and blogs, and everything he has written on Menhera is extremely well put, extremely well researched, and is knowledgeable. So next to FY Menhera, another person who, if he says something about Menhera, you should listen to it, is this guy right here. I've also gotten some of my information from him, or even just developed my own kind of thoughts based on conversations with him. So really, really knowledgeable source of Menhera in the West here. So this artist, Zombie Unicorn, this one is still producing their work. So there you go. There's one. I didn't just put in people who don't produce work anymore. Zombie Unicorn started creating polymer clay jewelry for Nurse and Girl themed Lolita in 2014. Then started noticing she was getting a lot of buyers who were Menhera. So in 2016, she started focusing more on Menhera accessories and Menhera work. And just like how I said, if you see somebody wearing thigh highs in Menhera, they're most likely cherry cheesy. If you see somebody with a polymer clay band-aid clip, 90% chance that they got it from Zombie Unicorn. So firstly, their work is high quality, very good, very cute. But secondly, because Menhera artists like come and go so quickly because they are Menhera people struggling with mental health and chronic health issues, it can be hard to find an artist who is consistent and you can reliably purchase from year after year. And Zombie Unicorn has provided that. Zombie Unicorn has been around for quite a long time and has been constantly producing quality work. Oh, sorry about that. I don't know why I'm getting a call. Quality work, ships well, packaged well, everything comes in lovely, really lovely stuff. So this is another common staple. And here are some of the this was previously my favorite piece she had done, but she just released some new stuff that was like these little people with different like brain head and like a tooth head, and I love those more slightly, but it's hard to pick favorites with Zombie Unicorn's work. So good. So good. And there's me. I'm going to put myself in here because I can, because it's my panel. Nobody can stop me. So I've been very active in the Menhera online communities. I discovered Menhera actually through misinformation before the refinery, is it 27? Before the Izaki Bizoko interview video that went viral, I learned about Menhera. Somebody told me it was Decora, but with dark colors, which it is not. But thankfully, people in the Menhera community very kindly spoon-fed me and corrected me and taught me about what Menhera was. And once I learned about what it was, I was like, oh, this is amazing. I wish I had known about this earlier. This could have really helped me through personal struggles in my life. And so since learning about it, I've made it kind of a goal of mine to spread awareness about the existence of the style and of the community so that people who can benefit from it can know that it exists. So every time I'm guesting at an event, I require that they let me present my Menhera panel. So you'll see me at conventions presenting this panel. I've been very lucky to have my work modeled by icons like Kimura Yu and Toshi, and I've been trying to just get more the good word of Menhera out there as much as I can. Yeah, and look, it's me there. You can see me, even though I don't have my video camera. This is from like 2 years ago, but I think I look about the same. Yeah, and I like to focus on, I like the pill motifs because I struggled with being afraid to take medication when I needed to because of the stigma around it. And I find that the cute pill motif like kind of takes away from that stigma and helps you feel better about taking your medication. And I also love themes of anxiety and then like nihilism and puns, lots of puns. I forgot to mention there are lots of puns in Menhera. They're often missed because the Japanese puns don't always translate as well. But yes, Menhera also has lots of puns and dark humor puns, and it's just like perfect for me. I love it. Yes. All right. I managed to rapid fire through that fast enough that we do still have some time for some questions. So I'm going to open up the floor to if you have any questions, just post them in the chat. I don't know if I can click on them. No, I can't, but I will see them. Yes. Everybody love Menhera, join Menhera, be Menhera if you want to, but you don't have to. Find a way to self-express. What should I talk about while I wait for questions? Somebody tell me what I should talk about while I wait for questions. Oh shoot, I was supposed to open my shop today. I guess I should do that. Oops. Well, I guess I will do that after this panel. What is my favorite piece that I've made? Oh, okay, that's a tough one. That's a really tough one. Let's think. I think I'm really proud of the Anxiety Angel. I think because that was a series I was working on for a long time. That features my own artwork, which I often will hire other artists for that type of artwork because I can be very insecure about my own artwork and it takes me so long. I'm not an efficient artist, and to get something out that's like okay, that's hand drawn takes me an extremely long time. But I was really proud of how well my art came out for that one and how well the mood was set and kind of the anxiety themes. And then that one also features my, what's the word? Intrusive thoughts. That one, yes. So it features like my personal intrusive thoughts, and I kind of so I put those in the background of the image because like to me they're not very important. I've kind of learned how to deal with them, and I'm just like, yeah, whatever, they're there. But they're always kind of there in the background, and sometimes you forget that. So that series was my way of taking those intrusive thoughts and saying, look, now they're in the background here, and now everybody else can deal with them. um, but yeah, I think that one's my favorite. But I've been pretty proud, I think, of everything for the most part. Some of the Magical Girl First Aid, actually, the first series, I had a whole drama with the hoodies, with like production problems. So I hate those. But in general, I'm pretty happy with what I do. Sometimes I go through a cycle. I'll hate it when I first get it done, and then I'll like put it away in a box, and I won't think about it, and then I'll come back to it a few months later and be like, oh, okay, that was fine. I was just being dramatic. Any other questions from anybody? I don't mind ending early too, but I don't know. I don't know what the protocol for that is. I guess after this panel, my shop will finally be up again. Though, please be patient because I have not unpacked my shipping setup. I have not set up my printer again, so I don't actually know when I'll be shipping things. I guess maybe if I get orders, I'll have to rush on that, get that all set up. I guess I'll end with just like a bit of a statement as a reminder that, your Menhera artists, your Menhera brands, your Menhera bands, Menhera spokespeople, they're all people with Menhera problems too. So to always keep that in mind that like sometimes they might not be the most responsive, sometimes they might not react in the right way, and while they should always try to do better and do well, people can fail and struggle with their issues. So if there is like a Menhera artist you like or a Menhera work that you really like, be sure to support it when you can and while you can, because it really might not be there tomorrow. And that is both something that makes, I guess, that's something that adds to the experience of purchasing Menhera art and Menhera work from other people, but it's also something that's kind of like, yeah, it sucks if you can't get the thing, but it's like, what were you expecting? This is Menhera. Um, you have to acknowledge that the people who are in Menhera are also Menhera themselves. So I don't actually have any control over ending the panel. So I guess I'll just keep rambling on for 10 minutes. You can just cut me off at any time otherwise. So what are you guys been up to today? You've been having a good day? We got rained on here. After this I have to go. I have a meet tonight that I'm hosting in my house that I forgot. My house isn't actually put together yet, so I have to like try and put it together in a rush. Yeah, I know. What did I do to myself? It's a small meet. It's mostly people I know pretty well too, because we're all going to go see wrestling. Um, so like we're gonna be here, we're gonna make stupid wrestling signs, and then we're gonna go see indie wrestling in Lolita because that's what we do here. Dolphin Pod? I think that's a reference I don't get. Are you going to see dolphins? Ah, I get it. So a dolphin pod is the whole small group of friends is a pod. Yeah, this is my wrestling pod. Um, I do these little wrestling meets because I'm going to go to wrestling dressed up. And a few of my friends come in too, but it usually ends up just being like me and my 3 or 4 friends who also like wrestling. Though I always make the meets, and people always are like, does anybody go to those?" And every now and then somebody new shows up. I think this time we actually have 2 new people coming to wrestling with us. So I'm excited to splurge at them about the entire wrestling storyline that's been happening up till now. And I'm sure that won't drive them away at all. Support your local indie wrestling. It's like it's like the like it's like a more masculine version of drag. I don't like drag is like like if drag is like a fashion show, then wrestling is like I don't know a football game. I don't know. It just is great because it has a lot of similarities with the over the top drama and like flair of drag, but then it also has like the stunts. Yeah, yes, and luchador and wrestling right now is really big in Japan. So some of the bigger events here in the states will have Japanese wrestlers at them. Pretty cool stuff. We had Teco actually. Teco here in Pittsburgh has a focus on Japanese wrestlers. I think for that reason. Yep. Well, yes, I a sumo. Oh, that must be fun. I've never seen any sumo wrestling in real life. That must be cool. Feel free to ask any other questions too while I'm rambling about off-topic things. You can ask me like, "Hey, when are you gonna have stuff in your shop again?" Soon, once I get my stuff together. New house is cool. Like it. We don't have any furniture though. I'm sure other cons bring wrestling too, but I see the Japanese wrestlers in American wrestling events a lot. What are some ideas we can see for me in the future? Well, I have the second part of the Hey Newly collab with the art that like nobody's seen, as if I don't have enough to do. That I said I'm going to release this year, so I should do that. I have to get on that. I have a collab with a YouTuber. I guess actually you guys probably wouldn't know them, but a YouTuber that I really like that I need to also get on with. That I've been putting off for months because I've been trying to like move and sort out my job and everything. And then me and Paulina are working on some like couture one-offs for Teco that'll be absolutely ridiculous and fabulous and very fancy. And I think that's all for now. I haven't really figured out what I'm doing in 2022. My goal for this year is to get like to hire somebody part time and to have a setup where the shop is maintaining itself because currently I've had to close the shop several times this year because I haven't been able to keep up with it, keep up with orders, which is a good problem to have, but it's still like, I know eventually people are going to get sick of me closing my shop every month. 2022 is going to be a refresh. Oh, for sure. You're going to see me at so many things in 2022. I'm just going to not be in my house. I'm going to go to everything. Speaking of which, I'm very excited for, I think for Royal Vegas, I think will be the first Lolita event that I'll get to go to in person. Very excited for that. And what else am I doing? I'm doing one more con that can't be announced yet in the fall. And then, as far as I know, I'm still on for Techo. So I'll be there. There's something else. There's Purgatorio, of course, which is the virtual Paradiso event that's happening in a few weeks. So you should all check it out. And I will have new items for release, including Dogs and Desserts and Crystal Hearts then. Somehow they will be up. I will rearrange my entire house if I have to, but that will happen. No, I see Strawberry Paper Doll in there. Are you doing any shows this year? Any fashion shows? Cool stuff? Were you doing BlurredCon? Oh, I feel that. I mean, at this point, apparently 70% of the states have been vaccinated, which is, I wasn't actually expecting us to get there so quickly, but that's great. So it's pretty much safe COVID wise. But I am hoping that conventions implement like a mask policy just because I'm sick of con crud. Every year I'll do a convention and then I'll come home and then my husband will get con crud from me. He didn't even get to go to the convention. So I think that'll be nice and that'll be better for everybody who's immunocompromised as well. You get con crud if you look at the convention hall. Oh, fair enough. Yeah, no, I put a lot of effort into hydrating and sleeping 8 hours so that I don't get, and taking vitamins so I don't get con crud. And then I happily bring it home, and then my husband gets con crud. It has happened 4 times now. Yeah. Though even before COVID, I had noticed like I had started selling masks like, at this point 3 years ago. So I had sold a lot of masks, and I noticed that people at conventions, I think about 20% of people had started wearing masks already. So I think that just because of con cred. And so I think that more and more, I think we might end up with a like 70% of people wearing masks at conventions, which would be great. So great. All right, well, it's 3:59, so I'm going to assume that I will be shut off once I say goodbye. So thank you guys for coming. I hope I didn't speed run through that too quickly. You're always welcome to email me at puvithel@gmail.com if you have more questions. And you can check out FY Menhera on Tumblr for more information about Menhera. So thanks, everybody. And thank you, Arisu Market, for letting me do a panel.